In today's Leeds news, no rift with Grays and Leeds, Cooper exit, Shackleton exit confirmed, Kamara noise, Summerville PSG interest, and Leeds step up Skipp interest. Hi folks, Jay here on Thursday the 4th of July at The View with your Leeds United news. Hope you're having a great week so far. There's a bit of stuff to get through, but as has been the case this week, and I'll kind of caveat the entire video by saying a lot of this is still rumour and conjecture right now. We'll give you more updates on some of the deals that are happening or likely to happen and clear some of the noise that's going around right now. But things can change very quickly and are likely to change. So again, as I've said all week, if anything major comes out or changes before this evening, I'll jump back on tonight with a live stream. But unless anything changes, I will be back tomorrow morning. But today's news, there's a bit going around. We'll start off with the situation around the apparent and rumoured rift between the Gray family and Leeds United on the back of the Archie Gray sale. According to Graham Smith at the Yorkshire Evening Post, in a piece that he put out on social media today via the Inside Ellen Road podcast, he says there is no rift between Leeds United and the Gray family. That was just one of the stories that ran out to fill the void of information over the course of the weekend. He also pointed out that the person who leaked the story about Gray to Brentford was unaware that the information wasn't club-wide at that time. And when the Yorkshire Evening Post reached out to Leeds for information around this, the answer they got was bemusement about this, as they didn't know there was any deal in place at the time. The department that looks after the media interests at that point weren't given the information around the deal, but he also goes on to say that it wasn't a good look on Saturday that all of the relevant departments at Leeds that needed to know about this information weren't all informed of it. Smith also said that had he rang Leeds United 45 minutes later, that he would have got a very different answer to the one that he got, that he put out publicly at the time. Smith also said that in his opinion there was no deliberate attempt from anybody at the club to mislead or misinform people about the deal, but that it wasn't a good look on Saturday that all the departments didn't have the relevant information. But according to Graham Smith and people he has spoken to, no rift between the Greys. I think Eddie Gray is a mature and has been around football long enough to understand that players leave clubs and move on. Regardless of the name on the back of the shirt, the badge on the front of the shirt will always dictate what happens. And I think Eddie Gray is around long enough to understand that players move on. And despite the fact that it's Archie and we all wanted Archie to stay and we'd all love Archie to come back at some point in the future, that's just football, and Eddie is a seasoned pro when it comes to what happens in football. But an interesting one nevertheless, but some misinformation. It's really important to check the people on Twitter who are putting this information out or on Wacko. Figure out who they are, go look them up. It doesn't take long to find out if these are legitimately real people or fake journalists, of which there's an awful lot of gaslighters floating around the Twitter sphere. But keep an eye on it, check it out yourself if you want to get more information on that, and we'll try and diffuse as much of it as we can when it does come out. Moving on to an exit from Leeds United, and yesterday Team Talk released an exclusive around Liam Cooper's situation, and it is expected that former Leeds United skipper Liam Cooper will move on from Leeds United this summer and has rejected the initial 1-year extension. Leeds have, as I said, offered Cooper a 1-year extension, but Cooper himself is said to be interested in a slightly longer deal than that. Cooper made 19 appearances for Leeds United last season, and with the return of Joe Rodon this week, it's likely that Liam Cooper would find himself in a similar position next season. Cooper's impact behind the scenes and relationship with Daniel Farke is said to be one of the main reasons why Leeds offered the 1-year extension. Farke is said to be a fan of what Cooper adds to the dressing room and the work that he does behind the scenes. However, Cooper himself is now expected to field offers elsewhere, and with Hull City and Blackburn interested in him, they will be the immediate two. On top of that, there was also interest from Saudi Arabian club Al Qadisha last summer that may resurface now that Cooper appears to be a free agent. Should also be said that at the time of writing this article, Team Talk said that that was the information that they have right now, that Cooper is likely to move on from Leeds United next season to other clubs, but that was the information as they had it then. That might change. There are still conversations having been taking place behind the scenes, so we'll have to see exactly what happens. But should Liam Cooper move on from Leeds United, I would just like to say a massive thank you to Liam Cooper for a decade of service at Leeds United and how he's carried himself during the length of time, and a fantastic captain he has been for Leeds United. Whether you like him as a player or not, his service to Leeds United and loyalty to Leeds United has been huge, so massive thanks to him. Another player that was offered an extension to his contract at the end of the season was Jamie Shackleton, and according to Graham Smith at the Yorkshire Evening Post, Jamie Shackleton has declined the extension of the offer from Leeds United and is now expected to sign for Sheffield United. That was reported by Joe Wayman on the Just Joe show exclusively a couple of weeks ago. Shackleton has said to have completed his medical yesterday at Sheffield United, and the deal had been held up due to the Sheffield United takeover that had been going on behind the scenes. The deal is now said to have been done and dusted, and Shackleton is expected to finalise a deal to Sheffield United, and he will return to Leeds United and Ellen Road on October 19th when the Blades travel to Ellen Road to take on Leeds in the Championship. Again, all the best to Jamie Shackleton on his future. Leeds lad who gave everything for Leeds and never really let the club down when he did play for Leeds. So massive thanks to Jamie and all the best for your future. There has been some noise around other exits, and Glen Kamara is one of them, and according now to French outlet Ouest France, they are saying that Leeds midfielder Glen Kamara is close to agreeing personal terms with Stade Rennes. A report yesterday from Adam Pope on the BBC said that Leeds were not interested, or said to not be interested, in looking at selling Glen Kamara during this summer transfer window. But as again we mentioned yesterday, it's the Championship, and every single Leeds United player has a price if it's met. In the Yorkshire Evening Post, Graham Smith yesterday gave a state of play for Leeds' summer transfer window, stating that there wouldn't be a huge amount of activity on incomings, that Daniel Farke was very happy with the spine of the team, and it was just filling the spaces around the edges of that team are what was needed, and that Leeds would only look to bring in players outside of that if they were replacing someone who had left. But they should also say that during that piece, it was also said that if a player themselves wanted to leave Leeds, Leeds would be open to talking to them about that, but Leeds would negotiate exits very much on Leeds' terms moving forward. The French outlets state that an agreement between the player and Stade Rennes is in the pipeline, and Kamara is viewed as a priority summer target for Rennes. Rennes did try to sign Glen Kamara last summer, but Leeds United pipped him to that when he joined Leeds, and Leeds paid £5 million for the player, and after a good season in the Championship, Leeds might be looking to recoup slightly more than the $5 million that was initially paid, but that one is one that's going to rumble on for a bit longer. Kamara was seen in the first day training video and just signing his initial paperwork, so remains to be seen what's happening there. But if he is going, Leeds will likely need replacements for that position, as well as a replacement for Archie Gray, and Leeds are also said to be actively looking at replacing Archie right now. Another player that's been rumoured as exiting Leeds and may still happen over the course of this summer, but some clarification on this, and that's the Creno Somerville situation. According to Fabrizio Romano, the race to sign Creno Somerville does not include Paris Saint-Germain, as was rumoured yesterday. Liverpool, Brighton and Chelsea are all said to be the front runners for the deal for the Dutch winger if he should move, and there are some rumoured information going around that Arne Slot at Liverpool has also held talks with Cree, which would be difficult to say is fact, because Leeds have said there is no concrete offers on the table for Creno Somerville, and if negotiations aren't happening with the club, then clubs are not free to discuss terms with players unless a fee is agreed, or unless negotiations are open between both clubs, in which case they would then negotiate personal terms while negotiations around a transfer deal are ongoing. On the PSG Creno Somerville interest, Fabrizio Romano on Twitter said the following: "My understanding is that the situation is Summerville shares the same agent as Feyenoord defender Luchard Gertrude. PSG are in talks with Gertrude on personal terms. Summerville was mentioned during the talks, but there is no negotiations ongoing between the clubs or the player's agent. It's an open race between Brighton and the more interested clubs." That can always change. Gertrude has the same agent as Summerville. It was brought up in the conversation, but there's no interest right now from Paris Saint-Germain. The fee that's being talked about is anything above 40 million for Creno Somerville, and if Leeds are going to negotiate it on their terms, then you would imagine Leeds will be looking for the higher end of a deal. For their Liverpool tend to have a ceiling of around 35-40 million when they spend on players, so if it does go into the higher parts of that might likely rule Liverpool out of a move for them, and could, if Chelsea are interested, bring Chelsea very much back into the fold for the player. Romano himself reckons Chelsea are one to watch on this, so we will keep an eye on that as when we find it. It's a lot of noise, a lot of interest. Cree has been front and centre of a lot of the social media over the past couple of days. I still expect him to leave Leeds before the summer is over. If they can hang on to him, it will be a huge coup for Leeds. But there is the other interest from these clubs, and it's likely to rumble on for a bit longer unless Leeds can get a deal done for the player to leave soon, or a commitment that the player is going to stay at the club, which is unlikely while a window is open. But we'll have to keep an eye on that and talk about that as and when it happens. And then in some potential incoming news, which is nice to hear for a change, there's some rumoured interest again in Oliver Skipp. As part of the Archie Gray negotiations to Spurs, Leeds were said to have asked about the possibility of taking Oliver Skipp an ask that was rejected by Spurs, who wanted to keep Skipp. Skipp has made 77 Premier League appearances for Tottenham Hotspur, as well as 25 plus appearances during his time at the Championship, which is a huge amount of experience for a player who's still only 23 years of age. Skipp has a contract at Spurs until 2027, but has fallen down the pecking order at Spurs, and with the addition of Archie Gray going in there for the fee that he's gone in, could fall further down the pecking order again, should Spurs decide to play Archie as a central mid and not as a fullback. Team Talk believe that any offer for Oliver Skipp would have to be in and around the region of £15 million in order to get a deal done. That is the valuation that Spurs have on the player, and Leeds might be in a position where they could pay that, although 15 million would be seen as a high level for a player. But 23, a lot of experience, a good player, and a player that Daniel Farke knows incredibly well, and would add slightly more forward-going emphasis to Leeds than Glen Kamara might add. But you would imagine that Oliver Skipp was the likely lined-up replacement for Archie Gray as they tried to include him in that deal. If Glen Kamara moves on, Leeds would likely need to bring in another additional midfielder. I'm not massively against that. I like Glen Kamara. I think he was a very tidy player for Leeds last year. But could Leeds get more from midfield? There was a lack of goals there last year. There was a lack of forward movement. And there was a lot of opportunities last year where the ball fell to Glen on the edge of the box or in and around the box, and Glen chose not to shoot. Leeds could do with a more proactive player in that position in terms of taking shots. It's not to take anything away from what Glen Kamara did last year. He's a very talented player for Leeds when it comes into retaining possession and moving the ball quite well. So yeah, there's a lot of noise, still a lot happening right now. It's a crazy period of time. It's going to keep going this way for a bit longer, but we will be back tomorrow morning for more Leeds news. Anything breaks in the meantime, I'll pop on tonight, and we're recording the podcast later on tonight for tomorrow, Ollie Ward and with Lockie, so you can keep an eye out for that over the weekend as well. We'll try and get some more content out. This is my full-time job now for a little bit longer, so there will be some additional content. There will be some members exclusive content going out as well, and we will fill you in on the plans for the beginning of the season. Or we've got a plan for 2 new shows around match days coming into the start of the season, but I will give you more information on that as and when I get it. For now, massive thanks as always for supporting the channel. We're heading towards 40,000 subscribers, which is nuts, and I really appreciate the support from everybody. Have a cracking rest of your day, and I will see you tomorrow morning for more Leeds news. See you then. Bye.